Well, I've nicked my cat's favourite sleeping spot, so that could be an issue for me at some point.
Oh, sorry, what do you mean? Say that again?
Blay likes to sleep in this chair that I'm currently sitting
Oh.
in at night.
Oh, he may
So-
shove you out of it. Gotcha. It's not like you could stop him, right?
He wasn't too chuffed when I picked him up and suggested he slept somewhere else.
I'll bet. He's a difficult creature to argue with. Just the sheer volume is sufficient. Oh, we're live. Oh,
Yep. We
sorry
are.
about that. Good morning, afternoon, everyone. Actually, it's just turned noon here in the Antipodes, down here on the east coast of Australia. We have the usual suspects. Chill, of course, in Portland, Oregon. If I got that right. And somewhere in America. And Blay, of
Pretty
course.
much,
You're more or less... Are you in Cardiff? Or am I making that up?
Pretty close. About 17 miles north of Cardiff.
Yeah,
But
okay.
I'm in
In that general
the original
vicinity.
South Wales. Not the new one, the original one.
Right. I didn't know there was a difference. Has it moved?
Well, yeah, apparently there's this new pretender somewhere in Australia. That just happens
Oh.
to try and nick our name.
Oh, really? Have I completely missed this? Almost certainly.
What? New South Wales in Australia?
Oh.
Probably. It's quite a large area.
Yeah, we tend to ignore those guys. They're down south. So I'm up here in Queensland. Anyway, let's not go overboard. Now, if any of you are ever looking for a Bluetooth headphone, I can highly recommend this guy. It's an Aventry Apico, only cost me 25 Australian dollars. And it's great. It's just a single ear, but for podcasts, it is perfect.
Nice.
Especially if your phone doesn't have a headphone jack. But mine does, but I still use it anyway because I just have got kind of used to Bluetooth. I'm actually wearing another one. That was my spare for this. So I don't have a cable to strangle myself with. Alright, this is OotiniCast episode 327. We will be starting shortly. Now, Blay has been on regularly. That's more or less been just a kind of series of fortunate events, unfortunate events. This was going to be recorded at a really Euro-friendly time, but now it's not. It's like 2 a.m. Sorry, Blay.
It's fine. It's Olympics friendly time.
Probably right.
Alright, so I'm going to switch back to my other headphones because this one's cutting out. So give me a second and then we are good to go. I think it's that one. Can you say something? Make sure I got this right.
Something
Test,
from
test,
the dark
test.
side.
Test,
Oh yeah,
test,
thank
test.
you. Alright, chill, we are ready to roll.
All right. Everyone got their Audacity rolling?
Double check actually.
I will have. Thank you for checking that. And before we start, I will tweet right this second. Episode 327. Tweet. And done. Okay, ready to roll.
Okay. All right. Let me close one thing here. Make sure that looks right. Okay, I'm ready. Going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that knows what you're going to say. I changed my hair. This is episode 327 being recorded on Saturday, February 17th, 2018. I'm your host, Jill, with our producer and co-host, Tio. Hi, Tio.
Hey guys.
And our guest today, from 2 a.m. in the morning, is Blay. How you doing, Blay?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. Probably better than you at the moment, but what you been up to?
Quite a bit in game. Well, first of all, I managed to get up for this special edition, which is even later for me than what it normally is. But in game, I've managed to get my last tune to 300. I'm not sure if I was there, or I think I was quite close to getting the achievement last time I was on the show. In the last couple of weeks, I've actually pushed ahead. I had a great group of friends who helped me, and we managed to get all 8 classes now up to 300, so I got the achievement. So
Wow.
that means I can sort of back off a little bit now, and like not having to sort of feel the pressure of, oh, gotta get this last one, just one more to go. So that's all done. Plus, I've been
Wow.
doing a lot of ops trading still.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a team, we managed to do, well, one shot every boss in story mode, Temple Sacrifice on the pub side for the
Wow.
first time this week.
That's
I
good.
don't know
Nice.
why, but on the pub side, we seem to struggle more than on the imp side, but tonight we just went through everything, absolutely no problem at all. It looked fairly easy, even though I did do a bit of a noob thing, and when I'm healing, I got my shield, my bubble, on my middle mouse button. But every now and then it sort of auto walks when I press it, and it was that last phase where you're having to kill the big globe. I bubbled someone, auto walked straight off the edge, straight died. So just spent most of the last phase just watching the fight.
Oh
Okay.
man.
But at least I didn't die on the steps, going up the steps. I didn't step to die to the steps gods, so that's all fine. Apart from that, I've been pretty much just spying on Tio's Netflix watching to find out what to watch next.
Not a bad idea,
So-
actually.
Yeah, it's like it's better than TV Guide, to be honest with you. Just to go, oh, okay, yeah, I'll watch that now. Watch that next. And apart from that, because I've been ill for like the last week, so I've been spending a lot of time in bed and then staying up all night because I couldn't sleep because I slept pretty much due to the tablets all day. I've been watching quite a lot of Olympics while leveling a new Juggernaut. It's
Oh,
going
cool.
through-
What are some of the things you like to watch?
in the Olympics?
Mm-hmm.
I've learned so much about curling. I know
Yeah.
pretty much all the rules of curling now.
Nice.
Ice hockey. You can ask me questions about ice hockey. I understand the rules. I know icing is now and everything. Brilliant. What else? The ones I've particularly enjoyed have been the half pipe because snowboarder. So
Yeah, that's cool.
I've enjoyed the snowboard cross and all that skin stuff, and I was watching the big air hasn't started yet. The ski version of slopestyle where they're doing the rails and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, it's crazy some of the tricks that those people do on skis, and even I can now look at it and go, yeah, they're not gonna land that. Nope. Oh yeah, face planting straight to the ground. So yeah, I've been really enjoying that. It's been quite an interesting week.
Cool. All right, Tio, how about your week?
Well, first of all, I haven't watched any of the Winter Olympics because I just don't care. Sorry, I just,
Not your thing, huh?
apparently it's on. I saw a bit of the opening ceremony, which was terrible, and, well, in my opinion, your mileage may vary. But anyway, it was all a bit strange. Aside from that, I do have some news on The Last Jedi. It is coming out. Apparently, they accidentally released the date, March 14 on digital download, on the usual suspects, iTunes, etc. And on Blu-ray, as in the hardware version, on 27th of March.
Very nice.
May or may not. Yeah, anyway. So yes, that is when I will finally get to see The Last Jedi. No, have not managed to get to the cinema. So I guess there's a chance to be able to see Solo in the cinema when that comes out in May, but we'll see. The only other thing I wanted to mention is a few things I've been watching on Netflix and other places. And just as if you're into Star Wars, these may interest you. Firstly, you may have heard about the Cloverfield Paradox. This was a movie that was announced on Netflix during the Super Bowl. It's kind of terrible. I would more or less avoid it. If you've seen like 10 Cloverfield Lane or the other Cloverfield one, they're all in the same universe apparently. And I guess this explains why things are the way they are, where all the things came from. But yeah, it's one of those bad sort of horror plus sci-fi. And yeah, unless you like horror, I wouldn't bother. But yeah, there's a few jump scares and stuff in there. Now, a series that is worth watching, especially if you like any kind of cyberpunk, is Altered Carbon. Altered Carbon, just been released a few weeks ago on Netflix. The entire 10 episodes of the first season are out. It's really good. really, really good. Just a fascinating future world that's just cool. I wouldn't even say it's hard going. It's a good story, more or less a kind of police whodunit kind of thing, but with all kinds of other stuff that makes it interesting. Now, next, if
you managed to hook me with the comment, in the future they've forgotten bra technology for that one. Okay, that's worth catching up on that.
Indeed, that is definitely an aspect of it. There is The Expanse, 2 seasons out so far, based on a series of novels by a guy named James something S. Corey, I think, who's actually 2 guys in reality. But anyway, The Expanse is near future, inhabiting our solar system, where humans have gone at least that far. And it's just a really good story. And the TV series, the Netflix series based on it, is superb science fiction. Probably some of the best you'll see, as in realism. It's a great story as well. So I would recommend that. Now, I know this is Star Wars, what we do, but Star Trek Discovery, it's dark. Star Trek, very, very dark. If you haven't seen it yet, I would actually watch that first season, which has come out. It's not the Star Trek you used to, as in, yeah, it's good, but different.
Okay.
And finally, if you want something a bit lighter, there is The Orville, which is effectively, it's kind of billed as a comedic version of Star Trek. And it is funny, there's lots of jokes. But when it comes down to it, it's like original Star Trek. It's kind of done differently but right. And they actually have serious stories and stuff, and I would highly recommend that.
Okay. That's Seth MacFarlane's vehicle.
Yes,
exactly. And apparently he wanted to do something, Star Trek, and this was the closest he could get. The studio would let him do anything, and this is what he wanted to do. And so he created his own version of Star Trek, which is just like Star Trek, except they don't have transporters, oddly enough. But pretty much everything else is kind of the same.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, so that's what's been occupying myself when we're not looking after the children. Anyway, that's me. Over to you, Chill.
Yeah, and I think I heard one of them in the background there. All right, first a shout out to the chat room. Agent Iron Spider's here. Anu Blaze here as Blach Gaming. Dartharu, Diggity82, Farseer, Japeo, Jockins, Liba Roja is here. R2D2 Arm, Shedman V2, Starless, Zamzam is here, and Ziert. Hello, everyone. All right, well, if my voice is a little funky today, I kind of stressed it out yesterday on my stream. I decided to start I just sort of accidentally tumbled into like this character voice, and I overused my voice yesterday doing this goofy characters. It was like I was still playing the game, but someone else was like in my seat essentially.
You
were
possessed.
Fun to do.
Can you give us a sample, Chill?
Not right now, I can't, because I don't dare, because my voice is pretty thrashed right now. I actually woke up this morning thinking I was getting like a cold because I had a sore throat, and then I realized, oh man, it's just because I did that voice for like 90 minutes or 2 hours or something like that, which is a long time to do like any voice that sort of, is significantly different from your own. So anyway, so I call him Walt, and you can actually go to yesterday's stream at twitch.tv/chillsroom if you want to check it out. It would be the SWOTOR part of that stream. But it was fun to do, but I'm definitely going to have to think about whether I can really do that on a long-term basis. It was fun. I had a lot of fun, though. So anyway, what I've done in SWOTOR is mostly I've gotten a new character leveling just for fun. Another cosplay character, Chill Beast, Jedi Guardian, based on Beast from the X-Men. And I got him just past the end of Act 1, in fact, just before, like an hour before this OotiniCast today. And I would have gone Cathar. In fact, Penn reminded me, hey, there are Cathar in the game, but there aren't any like blue Cathar fur colors, and Beast is sort of iconically very blue, so I went with a shaggy-haired Chiss, it works pretty well. unfortunately can't have any sideburns. Chiss don't have that facial hair option as one of their things when you create a Chiss. So I just sort of went with a shaggy hair thing that sort of hangs over his eyes a bit and hangs down the side of his face, and kind of substitutes for the famous beast sideburns. The body size 3 was kind of a toss-up. It could have been body size 4 as well, but the 3 with its gigantic hands works pretty well. And I liked the Jedi Guardian because I'm going focus, so it's the jump monkey, smash monkey spec essentially, and so he does lots of jumps, which feels appropriate for the character. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to do that. And like I say, just got him past end of Act 1. He's on to Balmora now, and yeah, enjoying him a lot. That moves us on to the tip of the week. And we've got 4 tips this week. I'll start us off with one from one of our audience members, Agent Iron Spider. And Agent writes, "Hey OotiniCast, sorry if I've been sending too many tips lately, but as someone who only seriously started playing this game within 2017, I've run across things that I want to share, so here it goes. This tip is regarding the priority mission terminals in the fleet. As many of you know, these terminals have introduction to insert aspect of game here, missions. What some of you may not know is the rewards for these missions scale to your level. On top of that, if you're high enough level, then when you accept these missions, some of them will also award grand chance cubes. So in other words, don't do these missions until you've reached level 70. I know that Introduction to Conquest gives a cube at level 50, and I believe I also received one from Introduction to Group Finder at level 70. I hope this is a useful tip to y'all. So get out there and receive your free cubes. Wow.
Yes, it is Agent Iron Spider, and please don't hesitate in sending in tips. There are lots of new players to the game who could very much profit from your ideas.
Right, and I think I've definitely received a couple of grand chance cubes over time, but I didn't realize that was part of the pattern. Very nice, very nice. And let's see, looks like he sent in a second tip as well. And he writes, Agent Iron Spider writes again, "Sorry about sending in a second tip, but I discovered this tip and thought that people would appreciate it. A few days ago, I asked the fellow guildmates if there's another way to change what chat channel you were typing in besides clicking the drop-down menu, and I was told that there wasn't. But today I discovered that if you type /channel name and then hit the space bar, the channel will switch and be ready for you to type. For example, if I was in group chat and a new member joined the guild, I would type /guild and then space, and then just type welcome. Hope you find this useful."
You can use that particular combination. Cool.
Yeah, you can do /1, /2, /3, /4 as well.
You can, and
things like /G will take you into guild chat.
Right. I was going to say, yeah, you can shorten guild to /G, party to /P, operations to /O. And I believe operations is also used for the Warzone group as well when you're in a Warzone.
Yes, indeed.
All
right. Our third tip, after the first two from Agent Iron Spider, is from Wrath. And he and or she says, they say, "Hi team, I'm not sure if this has been covered yet, but reusable stims, adrenals, and med packs are back. There is a catch, however. You need to have progressed far enough through the main Kotfi Kotet storyline to unlock the Crisis on Umbara's Flashpoint, and you also need to be max level biochem. They're easy to get, as they just cost 4 Alliance tokens and 75,000 credits. Anyone can buy them, but they are automatically bound to you, so you cannot trade them between characters. On the upside, a single run through solo mode Crisis on Umbara will net you exactly 4 tokens. 3 runs will net you tokens enough for the stim, adrenal, and med pack of your choice."
Nice.
Very nice. There you go.
I was not aware of that. Interesting. And you have to be max level biochem. Still, not a bad way to go. All right, fourth tip is from Brittany of the Pandemonium Guild. "Hey guys, my name's Brittany. I heard about your podcast from my guildmates after telling them I was collecting all of the passive pets in SWTOR. Whoa, that's a lot of pets. So I've taken on the task of decorating our guild ship, and with all the practice I got in, I learned this little tip that made my life easier. While you are laying down decos, sometimes when you go to pick it up, it can be buggy, or with larger decos, nearly impossible to see the block to right-click on. Another way to pick it up is to change the layout where the deco will not fit. For example, if it's a large item, such as a seating arrangement, then change the layout to a medium arrangement, and it will pick up the difficult-to-move item automatically. Happy decorating! That's actually kind of clever.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brittany. And the winner by random allotment is Aerith. So congratulations, Aerith. You're the winner of a Tonfon or M83R droid pet code, courtesy of BioWare, and a new OotiniCast provided cartel market pack from the latest shipment. And if you'd like a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com before the next show. And poor Agent had a 50-50 chance, but didn't catch it this time. But I'm sure he'll try again. And that will bring us to the Holo feed. Tio?
Alright, let's start with the Share Your Love of SWOTOR with Friends campaign, which is apparently running throughout most of February and is tied to Valentine's Day, one would assume. I don't think they ever actually made that connection, but, you know. And the idea is to encourage others to join back in if they've been playing previously and have let their subscription lapse, or are brand new to the game. They love Star Wars, and you just happen to know that they may actually just like to play a Star Wars MMO. Well, anyway, so the actual things, Share Your Love with SWOTOR with Friends, runs from Feb 13 through Feb 27, so roughly a couple of weeks. So the way it works is referring friends. This is using the Recruit Your Friend of SWOTOR system that has been in the game all along. So that hasn't changed, but basically if you utilize it, you get some extra stuff. So if you haven't actually thought about this for a while, the way it is, you can get yourself an invite link. You probably see them in signatures on the forums, on various on the official SWOTOR forum posts. People are always posting those. I think Chill and I have got ours in the About for OotiniCast, that kind of thing. And the way it works is when you click on that link and you're a brand new player, you can get some special rewards. Now, I put this in here just so I could remind myself what you got, because I'm one of those who hadn't even thought about it for a long time. And of course, the rewards, if the person that you referred actually accepts the invitation and eventually subscribes, so they do have to subscribe themselves, you get 500 bonus cartel coins plus 100 cartel coins for each month your referred friend remains a premium player. Which means if they stay subbed, for as long as you do, you will get 100 cartel coins every month, just in addition. And this extends to every person that joins that via your referral link. So obviously that can kind of add up.
Yeah, that could add up.
Now, you also get a special in-game reward, including the Kurtob Alliance Speeder, which probably isn't worth as much as it used to, because it used to be high knockoff and you could use it regardless of your speeder level, etc. Which was a real advantage, at least early on, but now all speeders are auto-scaling to your actual level, so, I don't know if it gives you max knockoff protection even at the lowest level of speeder piloting. Anyway, so I can't remember the exact mechanics of that, and I'm not sure they really advertise that, but I found it really cool for all my new characters when I start up, because it is legacy-wide, obviously, and all of them can utilize it. Now, that's just for the first person who you've referred who subs. And then after that, for every additional friend, up to 5, there are 4 additional mini-pets that you will get each time someone that you referred actually subscribes.
Oh, okay.
Now, for the person who's actually joined via your referral link, they get a Jumpstart bundle. When they first get your link, they can level up to 50 for free. And I'm surprised it's only 50. I guess you do have to sign up, pay the $5 to become preferred, and then you can actually get everything else unlocked as well, because you're only free to play before that point. But in addition to that, you get the Jumpstart bundle, which gives you 1 quick travel pass, 5 minor XP boosts, and an extra inventory module. Probably worth saving that until you bought out the initial ones. But if you referred someone who has previously been subscribed, they get 7 days of premium play, basically a week of sub, and with unlimited access to level 50, plus the following: an inventory unlock for inventory module, a cruise skill slot unlocks both of those, display titles and unify color customization controls, 1 complimentary character transfer for the lifetime of the account. which is pretty nice. I think you only get one of those regardless how many times you come back. So that's kind of cool. That is if you have been subbed before. Otherwise, you get that first thing I described. Anyway, this is the existing, it's always there, refer a friend system. But if you refer someone and they sub up during February, then what do you get? The additional stuff that you get is 30 days of additional game time added to your account, so you get an extra month of sub if you're the person who reactivates their sub via the link. Is that right? Sorry, I did read through this and it did make sense at the time.
It's a very convoluted reward
Yeah,
system.
it is a bit. Regardless, if you do sub up, regardless of how you do it, by before February 27th, you will get a month of free sub on top of everything else. And when you use this code, which is SWOTOR Share the Love, SWOTOR Share the Love, I'll include it in the show notes as well as a link to this page which describes all this detail. And if you're an existing subscriber, you can apply this too, and I believe you will then get the Chiss Talon Interceptor Airspeeder and the Force Veterans Armor set. And these will be delivered via in-game mail in beginning of March.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's all of us should do that. Just use the code, even if you're already subbed, to get the extra stuff. And if they do include pictures of the speeder, the Chiss Talon Interceptor. It looks sort of like a starfighter kind of thing. And the Force Veterans Armor set. Yeah, it's alright if you're into that kind of thing. But if it's free, who can argue? Yeah. So anyway, this is running, as I said, until 27 February. Yes, it is confusing. I'm sorry. It's more or less the way it was presented. Confused by... Yeah, anyway, I'm going to cut that bit out. Alright, before we get to the big news, which is the roadmap, of course, which is what we're really going to talk about, let's just mention that someone asked, how about we have all of the in-game events turned on all the time? Degree event, bounty contract week, of course, Oracle event, Life Day event, just have it all running. Life Day probably wouldn't make sense, but all the rest, all the time. And Eric responded saying they reckon it's a great suggestion, and they have talked about this, but they reckon it might be a bit much. Running them, but they are talking about running them more often or having more than one on at a time. They do tend to make them just one active at any given time, but yeah. So that is certainly something they are considering, but there are some limitations in the tech on their side, which is preventing them from doing it right now. But yes,
Okay.
It's on the list. All right, let's talk about the main things.
Sorry.
That's okay. Let's talk about the roadmap. So we'd heard it was coming. It is here. And Keith introduces it, and this is him talking more or less, saying that they're talking about the roadmap process, talking about like the next quarter, is taking a lot longer to get out than they would like. The reason for that appears to be there is a whole lot of internal review, probably up the management chain, that they have to go through before they can actually get the roadmap out the door. And so what he's saying is that instead of doing that going forward, they may be putting the news directly on the forums. So rather than just having a big, here it all is, here's the roadmap, instead they'll kind of dribble it out over time.
Okay.
So as something is confirmed, some new flashpoint, some new whatever, they'll let us know on the forums that it's coming. So rather than having a roadmap for the next chunk of time, they'll just let us know what's coming, when it's coming.
The interesting
So
part of that is I'm not a particularly big forum reader. I tend to rely on things like Dev Tracker really to
Right.
point stuff out, or actually to be more precise, I tend to rely on Zamzam to point things out to me, or you guys to point things out to me. Otherwise, I would never ever go into the roadmap to see it. So
Right.
I kind of like, in a certain sense, having these big announcements saying this is what we're looking forward to in the next X number of days. But there is something that they say in this review which did concern me slightly, in that they only seem to know 90 days in advance. And that doesn't seem like a long time ahead to know what you're doing. That seems actually quite short to me for a development company. Especially when I think some of the stuff that they're doing certainly takes more than 90 days to do.
Now, they do get to their expansion plans, but yes, the wording of it, I see where you're going with that, Blaze, so let's get there and then talk that through. Alright, so firstly, the next game update is 5.8. It's called Command Authority. It is coming on the 13th of March, and it finishes the Gods from the Machine? God.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, Gods from the Machine operation, with the last encounter, Isaacs the Destroyer. And Isaacs will be coming in 2 modes, which they call Story and Master. The question obviously is asked, what about Veteran? You know, the one that's in between, the old hard mode. And they say it actually is Veteran, but it's so hard it may as well be Master.
Okay, wow.
Take that for what you will, and no doubt the rewards will just be Veteran level, so don't get your hopes too far up. And they will not be offering a full Master mode for all bosses in the operation. That's an interesting...
So that's a change.
Yeah.
Originally,
How far have they got, Blay? How many of the bosses have Master mode so far?
None. They haven't done any Master modes for any of them. They've done Veteran modes, but they haven't done Master modes for any of them.
Yeah, they did initially say they'd be following, like, month by month. Like, the second boss
Yes.
was to come out, they would add a Master mode to the first one. That didn't happen, and... Okay, so, no Master modes. Alright, fine. And even this one isn't really a Master mode, so they made the Veteran mode of the last boss. That's Master mode-ish. But certainly hard.
I think they pitched it the same way as they've done with Ravengers and Toss, in terms of the sort of difficulty of it, because Ravengers and Toss were much harder Veteran mode than the average sort of Veteran mode, as it were.
That was true. That was very true.
So
Remembering our own rating of that.
Yeah, I think that's the way they've actually gone with the sort of hardmare level.
Hardmare, yes. Yeah, okay. Alright. So, but, because they're doing what they're doing, instead of you having Master mode for all those bosses, they're going to run a special Isaacs event. If you're worthy enough to defeat him, which actually sounds like it will actually be a challenge on Veteran. If you do, you'll have the opportunity to receive a new achievement, a special and unique title, and a new and very enticing legacy-based reward. Okay.
Okay.
Now, this event will be time-locked between Game Update 5.8 and 5.9. So Isaacs comes in 5.8 on Veteran mode. Comes in 5.8. You'll have Story and Veteran. If you defeat on Veteran, you'll be able to get the reward. But you've only got until Game Update 5.9 comes out, which we will get to shortly. Similar to the Nightmare Power event, if you remember that. It will grant you a time-locked achievement, exclusive title, and special reward within your legacy. The special reward will become, after that, it will be available, but as a very rare drop off of Isaacs. But that will be a bind-on pickup version, won't be legacy-wide. That's how it's going to work. So, achievement and title, if you defeat him between 5.8 and 5.9. And then after that, the reward will be a rare drop off Isaacs. But only for the character that defeats him.
It makes me think there's going to be some sort of mount, because I can't think of that many other things that you could have as legacy-wide and then have it as bind-on pickup instead.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely agree. So they go on to say, regarding the Story and Veteran, technically speaking, he is Veteran. He's being balanced as if he is Master mode. So as we said, he is kind of hard, and they're actually deliberately making him that Veteran Master mode, in essence, in terms of the balancing. So technically there is no Master mode Isaacs, but when you play Veteran mode, it is going to feel like there is. Direct quote.
Nice.
The title and reward will be delivered when they launch Game Update 5.9. Alright, so also in Game Update 5.8, 13 March, is the Conquest revamp. So, yeah, so they've had their fair share of issues with it this past year. Remember, there was weeks when just no one got any rewards at all, even if they'd done all of the things needed for the Conquest. So they're trying to make them consistently fun. A fun activity for guilds and individual participants, which is how you can run it. And as a result, they made substantial improvements to the Conquest system, including new interface, new daily objectives, new missions, and more. And they've rewritten the back-end system to ensure you benefit from your weekly efforts, which means it's not going to screw up anymore. So yes, they acknowledge there were issues with that, and all of this will be explained in an upcoming blog or on the forums. There'll be also a new Conquest vendor that will appear for those who complete their personal conquests each week. Initially have decos and a new companion boost called the Commander's Compendium, which will increase your active companion to influence level 50. What? Rather than giving them all those gifts over however many hours? That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
And also, some companions will return. Now, this one will appear as an alliance alert if you've completed Kotet and have him as a companion. Arkan, you can romance him. Apparently, a lot of people have wanted to do that. So now you will be able to Game Update 5.8. But it'll be an alliance alert, but you must have completed Kotet and not have... Well, he's still got to be with you physically, as in alive. So that's a key point. You cannot romance his corpse. Yes, that would just be strange. All right.
Yep. There are Sith in the game, but nothing quite like that, yes.
No.
I'm going to be very interested to see. I'm hoping it's a very humorous Alliance Alert name. Like, I'm hoping that, you know, when I read it, it'll be like, oh yeah, that's the Arkan Romance Alert. You know what I mean? It's like...
Right. Because it won't be quite as obvious. Yes. All right, we'll see.
Maybe a Phantom of the Opera reference? I don't know. Because of the half-face thing.
Yeah. Do you really think they would do that? Yes.
I don't know.
Yes. No.
They might.
They might, yeah. Also coming with 5.8 is a couple of other companions coming back. Vector, the bug guy for the Imperial agents. Vector Hylas. Is that his surname?
Yes.
I just always remember him as Vector. And also Ashara. Ashara Zavros will return for the Sith Inquisitor.
Wow.
How will things go with her former master?
Yeah,
that one's important. Well, they're both important. They're both romanceable, so...
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if my main character has romanced Lana. Before I try and remember... I definitely know I romanced Ashara. But did I romance Lana as well? Is this going to be another one of these awkward reunion conversations?
I'm sure she's very forgiving, Ashara.
Oh yeah, very, very forgiving.
Maybe not.
No, I remember how forgiving she was every single time I did any sort of evil act in the entire game and lost affection with her. In the days when you could lose affection with a character. And then had to buy her gifts, to buy her love back every single time.
Right.
It's how I do my relationships in real life.
Enough said. Okay.
Exactly.
And just to be assured, none of... This time, at least, when the companions come back, their weapons will be exactly the same as they were. Apparently, people were complaining about, like, Scorpio having her weapon changed, and Eric Jorgen having his cannon changed to a rifle. Torian had his weapon swapped. How can people notice things like this? But anyway, they did. The new companions coming back, everything will be exactly as you remember it. Alright. The companion returns are based on finishing Chapter 9 of Kotet, so you will have to have done that. They will return to the original class, so just like last time, these are class specific, so like only in this particular case, who was Imperial Agent for Vector, Sith Inquisitor for Ashara, and Arkan, anyone, because it's not an old companion. But they do mention an exception, and we'll get to that with 5.9. Okay. In fact, we probably won't mention it because it's kind of a surprise. Now, this Commander's Companion, just mentioned as a conquest reward. So this is Keith talking. Personally, I like having various companions with influence level 50 available, and depending on the fight, I might want a ranged DPS or a melee type healer or whatever. I also like the various animations and barks, that is the things that they say, those random one-liners, from a variety of our companions. We are introducing a new companion gift that can immediately raise the influence level of your companion to 50. But it's expensive, requires some crafting, and requires you to complete your personal conquest objectives before you purchase it from the vendor. Okay, so they're not going to make it easy, but this one gift will immediately uplift your companion's influence to 50. So basically, pull out a brand new companion who's level 1, give them the gift, and they're 50. Wow, that takes all the fun out of buying all those gifts. And anyway, what a shame.
This could still be quite a grind, though, because assuming that you can get all the mats that you need in one personal conquest weekly, and that in itself is a bit of an assumption. You got like 40 odd companions. If this gift only lasts if it's consumable, and then will only level one character up to level 50, that's 40 weeks of having to do conquests just to get all of your characters up to 50 using this method.
Oh.
That's a lot.
Wow. Yeah,
Well,
but
if
no one's
you
going to
need
do
to have
all
that
of
many,
them.
you
Come
can't.
on.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need to have 40 companions.
Right,
This whole
there are
alliance thing
people
is
out
bizarre.
there- There are people out there who have got 40 odd characters up to 500 or 50, whoever, doing it the hard way, doing it with gifts, doing it with everything else. There will
Such
be people who will
dedication
do
is
this
to be
using Conquest.
admired, yes. Well, sure. Why not? Gives you something to do. Why not? All right, last thing coming in game update 5.8 is they're changing the cartel market again. So we improved the way we operated the cartel market last year based on your feedback. And the team is looking at making additional big changes starting with 5.8. And they'll tell us more when they're just before release. So they're probably still in progress. Anyway, whatever it is, maybe they're more direct sales or some other mechanism to find stuff easier. Anyway, the whole gist of it will be you will have an easier way of buying stuff and giving them more money, or spending cartel coins, which you get in your monthly stipend as a subscriber, either way. Okay, so next we have Game Update 5.9, the Nathema Conspiracy. And that is coming in April without a date, which means I haven't nailed it down yet. So...
By the way, it's kind of both, but it's Nathema and Swotor for sure. It was pronounced Nathema when they did the audiobooks of the Swotor novels, but apparently they changed their mind, which actually makes sense since it's clearly a play on the word anathema. So
we are going with that. It is Nathema. Thank you, Chill. Alright, so this is what Keith said. This year's story has shown the final ramifications of the path Valkorion first chose when he devastated Nathema. So it's only natural that we want to go to there to bring that story to its exciting conclusion. Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
okay.
So that's where we're going. And it's a flashpoint. The Nathema Conspiracy, presumably. Okay. We've added powerful new augments. New tier of augments for those who need additional stats to help take down Isaacs in master mode, or if you simply want to be OP, overpowered. Okay. In the new flashpoint, we'll provide legacy-based crafting patterns that are bind on pickup, so you can't sell them, which will drop randomly off mobs and bosses. Or, if you're one of the lucky ones, you may also find a bind on equip version, which you can then sell on the GTN for a lot of credits.
Wow.
And they'll eventually let us know just where the mats come from to craft those augments. So, new augments coming. Alright, operations, Isaacs...
This bit is what answered my original thoughts when I saw the announcement about the special period in which you had to do the master mode in order to get the reward. So when they did it with, I think it was DP and DF, when they initially came out, there was a period of time where if you managed to complete it in Nightmare mode, you actually got some fancy rewards, and then after a certain amount of time, then those rewards disappeared. And the reason why they disappeared after a certain amount of time was they actually nerfed the bosses slightly.
Right.
To make it easier.
Right.
So if you did it when it was at its hardest, then you got the rewards. So they're not, by the looks of it, they're not going to nerf the last boss after the period, but they are bringing in gear that will make it easier. So basically,
right,
you haven't got access to the new gear to to make the fight easier while the rewards are valid. And as soon as the rewards aren't valid anymore, that's when you can actually get the new gear to give you a better chance of getting it done. Which is a
Yeah, I
different
mean,
way
that
of
makes
doing
sense. Yeah.
it. Instead of nerfing, they're just boosting you, basically.
So for the elite, they can get him before 5.9, get that special reward, and then once 5.9 comes out, they don't make him easier, but they provide you extra stuff, extra gear, essentially, too.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's the way I
Alright.
mean it.
Yep. All right. Also, Isaacs, speaking of which, is offering an amazing new reward that wasn't available when he first came out and came up to 5.8, and a new vendor, which is just outside the operation, got through the machine, offering special items to those who have earned an achievement for killing Isaacs the Destroyer. So that's not the time-limited one, it would seem. This is just for anyone who manages to kill him, is how I'm reading that. And an amazing new reward. So if you took him down before, just make sure you do it again after 5.9 comes out in April. Okay. Now, also, we've got more companions coming back. They're really streaming in. So, firstly, we've got Ireso, Felix Ireso, Jedi Consular companion. He's apparently had a rough time these last years. Apparently, the Consular's going to help him out. Another class-specific one. And finally, Mako and Akavi, Bounty Hunter and Smuggler, respectively, are coming back. Bounty Hunters and Smugglers are reunited with this duo who've been working together during the player's absence, which means if you're a Bounty Hunter or a Smuggler, you will encounter both, not just the one specific to your class.
Interesting.
And that may be where the twist comes in. So I won't spoil that, so yes.
Well, it kind of makes sense because Mako was a massive bounty hunter slash, all that kind of fan, wasn't she?
Yep.
And Akavi was a bounty hunter, so it makes sense that they work together.
Yep. Okay, now that's pretty much it for game updates 5.8 and 5.9. Someone did ask about class balance changes, and they are coming in 5.92. This includes some utility changes for various classes and some other stuff to address skank tanks in PvP. So yes, they're aware of that, and they'll let us know closer to 5.8 when that's coming, but the changes themselves are not coming until Game Update 5.9 in April. They're looking at sub-rewards, series of subscriber promotions throughout the next few months. Look in the usual spots in your email, launcher, on the website, and the Share Your Love campaign is one of the first of those subscriber promotions.
Do you think that's code for get ready for a load of Arcan-based mounts, masks? Everyone can look like Phantom of the Opera.
Maybe. Well, it's not. At least it's not HK themed. So almost anything would probably be okay.
Well, I think Arcan is the new HK, isn't he?
Oh, I hope not. Remember, for a lot of players, he's kind of not around anymore. So,
Well, even better. You could have his smoking mask on your face.
Oh, that's terrible. You sure? Whatever floats your boat or your sail barge, as the case may be. All right. Now, beyond April. This is where it gets a little bit interesting. Keith says, discussion topic. Does that mean I haven't decided yet? So, this is what Keith says. As they look back on 2017, and now beyond the conclusion of the Traitor storyline, they're planning to continue delivering content in the same manner throughout 2018. And when you look at the total year that we've looked back on, you received a wide variety of both multiplayer and solo activities, a new story strongholds, Starfighter updates. Sorry, we've got new story, we got strongholds, Starfighter updates, a whole new map, a new war zone, 2 new flashpoints, and a new operation, which we thought we'd never get, and many quality of life stuff. So that's the year gone, and yes, they have done a lot, and it's across the board. Now, players have apparently given them feedback saying they miss the more traditional expansion, and that we'd rather wait for it all to come at once. It's like waiting for Christmas, open your presents, and boom, there they all are. But Keith says he likes having updates released regularly versus waiting long periods of time in between, because people tend to get a little bitchy when they're forced to wait. So even though that
Right.
is the current plan, they're also laying out what they'll include in a 6.0 game update, which is usually the way they do an expansion. So let us know how things go. So if anything, the way they're wording this, no expansion is going to turn up until the end of the year at the earliest.
Okay.
So they look forward to expanding more on what you can expect in 5.8, 5.9 and beyond. And they started answering lots of questions. Some of the answers I've already given you, including, it looks, they were asking about when Season 9 ranked PvP will end. That'll be sometime in the summer. Not locked down currently. They'll let us know and what the rewards are going to be. PvP content, none planned for 5.8 and 5.9. But that doesn't mean it's not being planned or worked on, because they can actually run stuff in parallel. As in, even though they haven't told us about it, they could be working on a new map or whatever, new arena. It could be happening, and they'll let us know when they find out. What about the lack of Warzone matchmaking based on role, lack of cross-faction queues for solo ranked, etc.? It's on their radar as quality of life stuff for PvP, but large undertaking not in the plan. They note the interest in it. And the whole win trading thing, cheating, backfilling, whatever, constantly thing they monitor in action. Backfilling has particularly popped up on their radar lately, and so they're digging deep, in their words, to find and action those players. So the cheating in PvP goes on, but they are trying to get on top of it, and as usual, if you see anything suspicious, report it. Either via in-game or on the forums. Just send a PM to Musco or Keith. So yeah. Alright, so that's game update 5.8 and 5.9 on the roadmap. As he says, the way they seem to be running it is pretty much as they've done previously. They've got a fixed amount of resource, which they are just turning into whatever players want. They're trying to hit a variety of things. I wouldn't be surprised if we get another operation eventually. But I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see this one this year. Instead, they just focus more on flashpoints and maybe another map in GSF. Probably not, but most definitely more war zones, or at least one more war zone would be my guess. And more story, probably. Maybe another daily area or something. But they're just going to keep trickling it out. They're going to give us a 6.0 at some point, and I would guess that would contain an extra 5 levels. And presumably a bunch of story to go with that, but I wouldn't expect it to be like Shadow of Revan scope. It'll probably be a lot smaller. At a guess. Don't know. They haven't really said. So what do we think?
Well, it seems like a continuation of sort of how the game has been evolving anyway, because like with, rolling out the operations, one boss at a time, this is sort of a continuation of that sort of idea where instead of, releasing a lot of content all at once and sort of having the content locus sort of scoop it up and then, and then leave the game, I presume this is sort of a way for them to say, hey, if we roll it out more slowly, then, the people who actually like the game for what it is will actually hang around rather than just, come back for a few weeks and then immediately leave for the better part of a year. So that's what I kind of think this is aimed at.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right, of course.
Yeah,
just keep people subbed.
It's harder to get people to come back for new content than it is to possibly just keep them ticking over a period of time. So,
right, as long as there's something new enough to keep most people, engaged and interested in doing the next thing or whatever, catching the next operation boss or doing the next flashpoint or bit of story, then they don't have to worry about the whole, drop Shadow of Revan, have everyone come in, grind through the operations until they've gotten all the bosses and all the gear, and then leave for, until they have the next expansion.
Yeah. Well, Trick PT says, I think they'll do a summer event and use that time to create a 6.0, which will be the equivalent of 2 or 3 updates lumped together. Well, yeah, I guess the only thing they probably add that would differentiate that from several updates worth of content, which is, you're probably right, is just that extra 5 levels, just so that happens. Of course, they're in the real problem here that if they add an extra 5 character levels, taking us up to 75, what happens to the Galactic Command? in all of our command ranks?
Hmm.
Does that all
That's a
reset?
good question. Yeah, does it reset? Does it keep going?
Or are they kind of stuck now where they have to, let's take command ranks up to 400
Right, or
and
600.
have an extra tier of stuff, which they sort of said they wouldn't do, or whatever, 600, say, yeah.
Well, you've got
Good
the
question.
two things around it. You've got the... So, if you separate in terms of... You don't get any new abilities whatsoever for CXP. All you get is gear.
Yep.
Whereas the normal level in experience, you actually get new abilities.
Right.
Mhm.
So there's an actual separation. You could effectively add another 5 levels, like giving new abilities, new utilities, etc. But you just don't get any better gear. You still have your level 70 gear. And then once you get to 75, then there's a new tier then. So it could be a bit like when they did, was it the Hut Cartel with the crafting? You could only get up to level, I think you could only get to like 400 or something like that.
Right.
But then to go from 400 to 450,
Yeah.
you had to
Later.
go back, buy the extra stuff.
Yeah.
They give you a new ability effectively that allowed you then to go from 400 to 450. So I could well
Because they
see
couldn't
them
fit it
doing,
in time, I think.
Yeah, I could see them quite easily doing something along the lines of you go from 70 to 75, and then once you get up to 75,
Yeah.
then you have the ability then to go from 300 to 400.
Ah,
That kind
I
of thing.
see. That would make sense. That would be quite clever, actually. Yeah, okay. Genius play. You sold it for him.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but that's how I would try and get around it if I was in their shoes, because like you say, they have themselves quite a little issue really. But if you separate them in that way, one's abilities and one's gear, then you're fine.
Right. Well, Trig PT also says, adding levels would create a lot of work through with gear and scaling operations and flashpoints and new abilities and utilities. All true, but that does tend to freshen things up a bit. It just messes up the meta to some extent, just because you do, which
It's
may or
only
may
the
not be a
problem
bad thing.
Yeah, they always then seem to have a problem with balancing afterwards, because they always bring in these new abilities or new utilities, and then afterwards then go, yeah, it seemed like a good idea, but we have actually just made like character way overpowered, and all the PvP players are
Right.
sort of
Right.
all changing over to one class suddenly, that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
There's also the
happens
point that
every
all that CXP and command ranks are basically taking us. You remember those target levels? It's just taking us beyond that with the extra tiers of gear, as in what our target DPS is, which means as they add new tiers of stuff, we just get more and more overpowered if they don't change anything else. So a level reset, as in a new level cap, would allow them to just set everything back to the same level.
But they're doing that anyway with the augments, aren't they? They've already said
Yeah.
that they've targeted a certain level with the standard 228 augments. Yeah, 228 augments.
Right.
And even with the new 236 augments, you can actually go well over their caps, or well over their targets now. So,
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what they do about that, because like the solo content, which is typically comes out with the additional levels and the leveling up process and all that, is also like one of their best opportunities to tell stories, because not everyone's going to do the operations. Some people at least won't do the flashpoints, especially if they're only end game flashpoints. More people will see the leveling, and they always like to do content that hits a wide base, wide swath of the player base.
the other question I was going to ask you guys, the conspiracy on Nafana? Yeah, whatever. It only mentions Valkorion in that, but I am assuming that is the end of the Theron story, because they do go later on to say that now that we've concluded the Theron story and all this kind of stuff. So even though there's no mention of Theron in that sort of bit of text that they give it, I am assuming that's it. April,
Yes.
end of
Agreed.
Theron.
Yeah. That's
Not
what
the
they're
end of
saying.
Theron.
So whatever
Cool.
the story goes with Naphama, it's something new.
Yep, and something to do with Theron as well.
Alright, so that's Game Update 5.8 coming 13 March, and Game Update 5.9 coming sometime in April, and there will be a Game Update 6.0 probably towards the end of the year. They didn't say that, but that's just reading a tiny bit between the lines, so it's pretty bloody obvious. And they're not really saying what's in a 6.0 at all, but they will continue to trickle content throughout the year, as they have been for the last year, which has worked out pretty well. Alright, so the other bits of news wanted to cover, just a couple more things. Firstly, Electronic Arts did release their quarterly report. We covered the earnings call last show, and there is zero mention of Star Wars The Old Republic, which is a good thing in that it's not saying they kind of dragged down profits, but it sure as hell didn't actually add to them either, or revenue. So, no impact of SWTOR, pretty much. In general Star Wars news, the Game of Thrones writers, Dave Benioff and D.B. Weiss, apparently have been tapped by Disney to create a new trilogy of Star Wars feature films. This is in addition to the 3 that Rian Johnson is making. These 3, they haven't said anything about it really. So yes, we got another 3 movies coming. And apparently there's the Obi-Wan standalone movie coming as well. I saw some references to him being filmed in Ireland or something, so that's coming too.
Okay.
Now, there's been a lot of suggestions that given those guys and what they did with Game of Thrones, it's a sort of hyper-real, dark, that kind of universe, that this now could be the Old Republic, as in the Old Republic era. Now, Rian Johnson, people had hopes that he could go Old Republic, and that he said, no, I'm not going to. But these guys, here's their hope yet again that these 3 movies could actually be the Old Republic. So until someone says otherwise, yeah, sure.
Hope springs eternal, yeah.
It does, doesn't it?
When I
I'm not
first
sure how
saw
I
the
feel about
news,
that, but
I thought the first thing I thought of is if they'd got these guys involved in the original movies, so A New Hope, etc. I think there would have been a different ending or a continuation of that kiss between Luke and Leia, and it's really disturbing. It gets really dark.
Is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, especially the way that they've gone with certain characters in Game of Thrones. It could have got really, really bad. I think Star Wars would have lost its child-friendly rating at a very, very early point.
And that is the main point with these guys, because obviously Game of Thrones is anything but family-friendly. Quite the opposite, in fact, in terms of, everything really, every aspect of it is just dark, dark, dark. And that's Game of Thrones. Can these guys make something that's more family-friendly, or will this be an R-rated Star Wars?
That could be an interesting idea if they do go R-rated.
Indeed.
I can't say it personally. I can't see Disney wanting to go particularly R-rated. But you never know.
Now, let me finish with a rumour that you may or may not come across, that Disney has been talking to a couple of other game companies, Ubisoft and Activision Blizzard, about the Star Wars license. Completely rumour. Who knows? We can get nothing to corroborate it, and Disney sure as hell isn't confirming it, or the other game companies. Now, as you know, Electronic Arts has a multi-year exclusive agreement with Disney to make Star Wars games. And if Disney is kind of worried or whatever, is how the story is being spun, though I thought it was 10 years, but I can't find any confirmation of that. All it is, the references I have, is a multi-year Electronic Arts agreement. So whether that's true, who knows. That agreement could be coming to an end, which doesn't mean that Electronic Arts would stop making Star Wars games, but it means that Disney could start farming it around to other game companies as well.
Right.
So the fear is that if Electronic Arts lost the Star Wars license, then existing properties could no longer be sold or made, such as SWTOR, obviously, but I don't think it quite works like that. So if something's making money, Disney would be kind of silly to remove the license and stop that income they are getting from Electronic Arts. Remember, EA pays a licensing fee, which rumour has it is actually a surprisingly large percentage of any profit that, or even revenue, in fact, that the company makes.
Right.
So they'd be silly to cut that off. So if you come across that, I would personally just ignore it. Firstly, it's probably not true, and even if it was true, it doesn't actually mean anything. But yes, rumours could be fake news. Who knows?
Yeah, it's probably just they won't be exclusively able to do it. That's it, really.
Anyway, that's the news.
Oh, okay, great. Let's see. That'll bring us to the Force Feedback, where we read out your tweets and emails. And first, thanks to our newest Utini patron, Shane. Appreciate it, Shane. And a sincere thanks to all of our Utini patrons who continue to support the production of the show in a very real way.
And yeah, so the Patreon is still out there. We're still on it. There was that big kerfuffle where they were going to change how
the payments
patrons actually paid, which would cost them more. They abandoned all that. It's pretty much exactly the way it is, which means if you pledge a certain amount, such as $1 per creation in our case, every time we do a show, and I know we're doing them less often than we used to, that's all you get charged. So if you pledge $1 every time we do a show, you get charged $1. That's it. There's no way for us to get any extra, and we don't want it. We'll keep that money trickling in is enough to basically pay our costs. And even though we're doing them less often, all of the costs for everything basically stays the same, which is a bit unfortunate. So if you are interested in doing that, OotiniCast.com/Patreon or patreon.com/OotiniCast, and you can help us out.
Cool. And Ducky wrote in to say that I love that showers are called freshers in all the Legacy EU. Yes.
I've forgotten that one. That is a good one.
Yeah. In fact, that was one of my trivia questions back in the day, was a bunch of the translations of, English
Common
words
terms,
to Star Wars, Yeah, turbo lift and all that. And then there is a character picture here, but not from SWTOR, Teok. What can you tell me about it?
The game is from it's XCOM, and our good friend AJ, who we met at the second Utini Cantina, has created a character based on me, which I just thought was cool. So thank you, AJ. I am not worthy, but I'm truly honoured. Yeah,
it's kind of like, it looks a little like you. It's like a cartoon version of you, with a, like.
Certainly the hairstyle, more or less.
Yeah, the hairstyle's there, exactly. And and then it's just sort of like a cartoonishly, over proportionally masculine version of you with a giant gun. Pretty sure says the sniper, but I'm pretty sure snipers don't have guns that weigh, 300 pounds. Although there's some pretty big sniper rifles out there, but still.
Indeed. Thank you, AJ.
That's pretty funny. All right. Was there anything from anything else?
Not that I saw. We sort of covered it as we went. I managed to sit on my hands for this one, so Liba Aroha is happy. Shriek PT had some fairly insightful comments, which we covered.
Okay.
Agent Ironspider mentioned a Star Wars-based cop show, Wow Wars. Oh, I didn't mention that. Yes, Disney on their new streaming channel. There's going to be at least one live-action Star Wars-based TV series, and the way they were talking, multiple Star Wars series. So yeah, that will be coming with Disney's new streaming service. It will be the direct competitor to Netflix, etc. Are we getting too much Star Wars?
We'll see.
Are we Star Wars saturated? We're getting that way.
Yeah, well, if it stays good, then that's great. If we get another Ewoks series, like the one from the 80s, yeah, exactly. That would be painful, but Clone Wars was great, and Rebels is pretty darn good, and I'm okay with it as long as they keep the quality up.
Right. Yeah, that was all. Well, Clone Wars was certainly Lucas. Star Wars Rebels wasn't. That was just post-Lucas, but same guys. And Yeah, chill. I agree with you. It'll be great if they keep the quality up.
Yeah. And we won't have, that's right. Hawks reminds us, not much Rebels. It's coming to an end. So.
This is the last and 4th season, I believe.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Can you imagine if they do some sort of medical series with Star Wars? It'd be like, stick him in the tank. Oh, he's got a new disease. Stick him in the tank. Oh, he's lost a leg. Stick him in the tank. It'd be a bit repetitive, but I could see how it would work as a series.
Sure. Now, True PT says it's working fine for Marvel superheroes, but there is a bit more inherent variety in Marvel. They got all kinds of crap in that universe. But, yeah, true. It is working. Thor Ragnarok was not bad. It was, I think, the latest installment. Back to Wars. And I was going to mention something else.
I think that's good.
Yep. Oh, Blaz Hole. His comment was, I think it's better they keep us wanting more rather than giving us so much we don't care anymore.
Agreed.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, then. That's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Satil Shan server, or in our Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to utinicast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for all of us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live semi-bi-weekly, usually on Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Go to utinicast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. And thank you to the chat room, and thank you to Blay.
Cheers, guys. I think you need to change our last bit to we record at random times, at random days. Who knows? We could turn up at any moment.
Pretty true. Yep.
Yeah, it's a bit Schrodinger's at this point, yes. And we'll see you next week.
All right, guys, keep recording, everyone. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back next whatever. Probably in a couple of weeks. May the Force be with you and or serve you well. Hopefully in the normal time slot, by the way. But we'll see.
Cool. All right, stopping the stream and stopping the broadcast.